Hey everyone, in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you my top 10 everyday easy one and done eyeshadows. I'll be sharing with you my favourites both from the drugstore and from luxury high end. So if really easy eyeshadow sounds like something that you might be interested in, then please do keep on watching. One and done eyeshadows are amazing for people who want to save time in the morning. With one swipe of these eyeshadows, it's going to give you an absolutely beautiful every day into the night look. One and done eyeshadows are absolutely amazing for people who just don't feel like they have that confidence to use powder eyeshadows. They don't really want to be using a crease shadow and a transition shadow. They just want something really easy that will give them a really high impact makeup look. And one and done eyeshadows are especially incredible because you do not have to prep your eyelids first. So for all of the demos that you will see, I used nothing on my eyelids. So no concealer, no eyeshadow primer. They were all applied to my bare lids, and I can promise you that they will still last all day. The best way to apply all of these is to a bare eyelid. So we're not doing this in any particular order, but I think just for a change, we'll start with the high-end luxury and move over to the drugstore. So today really isn't about shade recommendations. I think shades, colours are so personal and so individual. These are more my recommendations based on formula and based on performance. In terms of what brushes I tend to use when I'm using cream and liquid eyeshadows, I like to use fluffy but more densely packed brushes. I just find that I have a little bit more control in that sense. This is a base shadow brush from Real Techniques, but I also like this one from BK Beauty, which is the 205, which is slightly angled. These two are my go-to when it comes to blending out cream or liquid shadows. So we're going to kick off with the high-end luxury, and we're going to start with some eyeshadow sticks, and these are from Laura Mercier. So these are the Caviar eyeshadow sticks, and these are such an incredible formula. So these retail for around $33, and they come in full sizes, and they also come in minis as well. I don't know if they do every shade in a mini, but they do have a good range of minis. So this is my favorite shade from Laura Mercier, which is Moonlight. And it's quite a metallic shade. This is an amazing day shade because you can sheer it out, or you can build it up to be more opaque and it becomes a really lovely nighttime shade. It has a little bit of a cooler undertone. It's really, really pretty. And then I have it in a mini version in the shade Au Naturel. So Au Naturel is a matte shade and it's very, very slightly warm toned. You can see the pinky undertones there. It's really beautiful for wearing just over the lid and just giving you a little bit of something. But in terms of the formula, you literally cannot go wrong with these because once they're on, they're on. So this is sweat proof, waterproof, crease proof. It provides 24 hours of wear and it's really suitable for sensitive skin also. I really love the creamy consistency of this eyeshadow stick. I think it's really beautiful. It has a really, really rich colour and it gives you so much payoff with so little effort. The last thing you want to do is to be dragging something over your eyeballs, but these, you barely need to touch the eyelids. They will just glide on and give you that payoff immediately. And once those shades set down, that's it. They're not budging until you remove your makeup. Absolutely beautiful formulas. Next, we're moving on to a cream eyeshadow from MAC, and this is one of their paint pots. So these retail for about $28, and I have this in the shade Groundwork, and this is a matte eyeshadow. So again, this is the shade Groundwork, and this is described as a mid-tone neutral taupe. An absolutely beautiful one and done shadow. If you want to just use this in the crease just to give a little bit of depth. They claim to last for 24 hours and they are waterproof and they are also crease resistant. You can also smudge this under the lash line. You can also use it as an eyeshadow primer with some of their other shades. I really like the shade Groundwork in particular because it is so subtle. So I either use this in conjunction with other eyeshadows, but generally I use it on a day where I just want a little bit of a toned down makeup look. This is definitely one that I find to be really, really versatile. And if you don't like shimmer and you don't like anything metallic, this is perfect. They are an extremely easy eyeshadow to use. They barely need any blending at all. I tend to apply it with a brush because I find it just a little bit easier to do so. But you can definitely go in straight on your eyelids with your fingers. They do dry down, but not too quickly. So I would say Groundwork is definitely my all-time favorite paint pot from MAC. They are an absolutely beautiful and very classic formula. We're moving on to another eyeshadow stick now, and this is from Bobbi Brown. These really are an incredible eyeshadow stick, probably the best I've ever tried. So the full size retails for $34. They do come in minis as well. Again, I'm not sure if they have a mini in every single shade, but they do have a really good range of minis. On my eyelids today, I actually have two eyeshadows that I'm speaking about, and one of them is this. So this is the shade Bronze. So there's the shade Bronze, and it's definitely a shimmery formula, and it does have those glittery particles in there. But I find that when they are on the eyelids, it's really, really subtle. And that's why I feel like I can wear this in the day and I can wear it through to the evening as well. And it will tick both of those boxes. So the Longwear Cream eyeshadow stick from Bobbi Brown claims to be budge proof, crease proof, and fade resistant. You do not need a brush for this formula. I just always like to buff out the edges and blend out no matter what cream shadow I'm using. But this is very easily layered. They glide so effortlessly onto the eyelid. As I said before, with the Laura Mercier, there's nothing worse than dragging something across your eyelid. It will give you great pigment, but it can be sheared out. It claims to give you a good 8 hours of wear, but I would say that this could last a lot longer. This is one of the most no budge eyeshadows that I have in my collection. It really does set down and it will stay there. I'm moving on now to some liquid eyeshadows, and these come from Armani. These are the Armani Eye Tints, and I have two shades. One is matte and one is shimmer. And actually, I prefer the mattes when it comes to the Armani Eye Tint. If I was to recommend any Armani Eye Tint to you, I would say go for the matte. I just find them much easier to work with than the shimmer. They retail for about £31 each, which is very expensive. Do come in a variety of matte and shimmery shades. So this is my favorite shade, which is 22M, which is a warm toned brown. Oh my gosh, I love this. And this is actually what I have in my crease today, but I love wearing just this all over the eyelid. And then that's the other shade that I have, which is a shimmery shade, and that is in 11S. I would describe it as bordering on a rose gold. I absolutely love both of those, but I do find that the mattes are much easier to work with. So the Armani Eye Tint promises 16 hours of wear. It's smudge proof, crease proof, and sweat proof. But these claim to be a very multi-use product, so you can use them on the eyelids, you can use them under the eyelids, you can use them as eyeliner. They really are quite versatile. It sounds strange, but these do not feel liquidy. They feel more like a cream to powder hybrid. They are very buildable, but again, if you want to have more of a sheared out look, these make that possible. They literally are the easiest liquid formula I've ever used in my life. You apply them, you barely have to touch them, and they've blended. They're really, really beautiful. And again, once they dry down, like with all of them, there's no budging them. You see? Totally smudge resistant. They are movable once you first apply them, and they will allow you to blend out, but once they've dried, they're down, so they won't let you down and they won't sweat off your eyelids. Number 3 is the Longwear Cream eyeshadow from Chanel. These retail for around about £34. I have this in the shade Undertone, and honestly, this is one of my most used high-end one and done shadows. However, I did think twice about putting this in, because although this is an absolutely perfect shade and an absolutely beautiful eyeshadow for every day, it can really dry out and it really does stress me out. Now it's fine because you can spray it with some spray, so like a hydrating mist is what I use, but it does dry out. That's not due to me leaving the cap off. It's just a really, really dry formula. But the actual appearance of it just wins me over every time. It's really gorgeous. Now this shade is incredibly similar to my skin tone, slightly darker. So Undertone is described as a light medium brown and it provides a beautiful satin finish. It is very buildable, and if you want to spray this, you can, and it will give you a more intense payoff. It really does wear beautifully all day, every day. The only issue, as I said, that I have with it is it can be quite dry, and that's why I did and ah about including it, because if you're going to be paying £34 for an eyeshadow, you want it to be working effortlessly every single time. So that's all I would say about the Chanel pot. But in comparison to the others that I'm showing you from high end, you do have to work a little bit harder with it. But don't be afraid to spray it because it doesn't impact the performance of the actual eyeshadow. So the last offering that I have from high end are these little one pot cream shadows from Charlotte Tilbury. These are the most perfect one and done eyeshadows. These retail for about £26 and I have a few shades in these. I actually should get more. My favourite shade is this one. And actually, I don't think I've got long left with this. It's almost out. So there's Champagne, and why I love this is because it is a perfect eyeshadow. So all over the lid and good to go. But I love wearing it in conjunction with other eyeshadows as well, just to elevate it. And it can also be used as a primer as well. It's just that perfect champagne shade. I also really love this shade, which is her iconic Pillow Talk shade. It's not overly pink. It's not as pink as what you think. And I also have it in this shade, which is the shade that you're going to see me demo. I would say this would be one of the most popular one and done wearable daytime everyday shades. So this is Oyster Pearl. So it's a very bronzy taupe and it's absolutely beautiful. So these really are a foolproof product. There's no dragging with these eyeshadows. I would say that these are definitely the easiest out of all of my eyeshadows to use, and I think it's because of the unique formula. It's a much different formula to anything else I have today. I would describe the formula as not so much creamy, but quite moussey, and it's really, really lightweight feeling. I wouldn't describe them as shimmery. I would say they have just a really nice sheen to them, and they set down, and once they've set down, they stay there. These are definitely worth checking out. Something that you do not have to think about. Again, you can share them out if you don't want it to be as opaque, or you can build it up for more of a glamorous look. I really feel like with the amount of shades that are available, you will find something that will suit you and suit your personal preference in terms of colour and shades. And one thing that I can guarantee with these is these never ever dry out. It's as good as it was on the day that I purchased them. So yeah, definitely worth checking out if you want super easy, beautiful eyeshadow. So my camera decided to cut out here without me knowing. So we're now moving on to the drugstore options, and we are starting with the e.l.f. No Budge eyeshadow stick. So I have this in the shade Rose Gold, and for me, this is just such a beautiful everyday shade, and it really is no budge. Again, like with all of them, once this is on, it's not going to move. It's a very, very buildable formula. I would probably describe that as metallic. So these claim to be smear resistant and smudge resistant. Again, like the other pens, it has a twist up design, so you don't have to be worrying about sharpening anything. And these are also available in matte. And in terms of the longevity, it has absolutely the same performance as the Bobbi Brown or as the Laura Mercier. I don't think it has the same level of pigment or ease of use, because you do have to kind of apply a little bit more, whereas I think with the Bobbi Brown and the Laura Mercier, you get a higher payoff faster. And I actually think it's worthwhile picking up one of these if you are considering picking up a Bobbi Brown or a Laura Mercier, to see how you feel about running a pen across your eyelids, because it's not for everybody. And I have tried with all of these pens to pick it up on an eyeshadow brush, but no, you are better off going in straight onto the eyelids. This is $5, and I think you get a beautiful, easy, everyday eyeshadow look out of them. Moving on now to some eyeshadows by a brand called Oulac. Now, I know some of you may not have heard of this brand. They're not a drugstore brand, but I think they are an indie brand. The first time that I was introduced to these was when I received one of these in my glossy box, my monthly subscription box. And once I tried them, I had to pick up more because they are absolutely incredible one and done eyeshadows. So these retail in the UK for about £6, and I think they're about $9, and you can get these on Amazon. So they have a really unique formula, very, very soft, very, very airy. This shade is Sahara Gold, so these are all shimmering metallic shades. This is my most used shade, which is Regal. Oh my gosh, it's so gorgeous. This is described as a peach with a pearl sheen. So we have Sahara Gold at the top and Regal second one down. And actually, I would say that is my most complimented one and done eyeshadow. People always ask me, what's your eyeshadow? What color is that? And the last one that I have is called Cheers. And this is more one and done wet looking, so more of that glamorous one and done look. So we go from subtle to glam, but definitely something in there for everyone with their one pot eyeshadows. So these again claim all day wear. They are sweat proof, they are vegan. They also contain lovely ingredients such as shea butter and jojoba oil. And again, really easily accessible if you use things like Amazon, but they do have their own website too. Once these dry down, they will not go anywhere. So I feel like perfect if you have more oily eyelids. I don't, but I can tell you that these do not move. And they're the type of eyeshadow that makes you look like you've spent forever on your eyeshadow when really all you've done is one swipe of one of these. Have you ever tried Oulac before? Let me know if you have, and if there are some products that you think I should check out, because if their other products are anything like these eyeshadows, then they'll be amazing. Moving on now to an absolutely outstanding one and done eyeshadow from Revlon, and I know that you won't be surprised to see these here. I have spoken about these recently. These are as good as any high-end one and done eyeshadow on the market. I usually get them from Amazon and they cost me about £5. These are my two favorite shades. So at the top here we have Caramel, and at the bottom Praline. So these two do have that metallic type finish, which is just something that I really, really do enjoy. But I know that they are available in matte shades, which I probably do need to pick up, but I just get stuck in my ways. And once I like shades, I just use the same colours over and over again. So as I said, these are available in both matte and shimmer metallic shades. They are waterproof, they claim 24 hours of wear. They're extremely buildable, extremely creamy, and very, very pigmented. The shade that I am applying here in the video is Caramel, and I genuinely think that it would suit the majority of skin tones. It's such an incredible, everyday, one and done, good to go eyeshadow. Okay, so the last shadow on my list is from Maybelline, and I've left this till last because I think it is so incredibly underrated. And this is the Maybelline 24-hour Colour Tattoo eyeshadow. And I have this in the most perfect shade, which is called On and On Bronze. So there's the shade On and On Bronze. I can wear this in the day, I can wear it in the night. Now, I will say that this is very, very similar to the Revlon. Very, very similar. I would say that if I had to pick a difference, this has a little bit more staying power. Now, the Revlon does stay all day. I don't know, this just has a little bit more of a substantial formula. So it's a little bit more weighty, if that makes sense, in comparison to the Revlon. And it's definitely the shadow that I reach for the most. This one and the Revlon, they are absolutely beautiful. And once it dries down, it's not budging, and it's genuinely as good as any high-end formula out there. And I think you can pick this up for about $6. I feel like, along with all of the others, these are really, really flattering, especially on mature eyelids. This is a very rich colour that you can apply, blend out, and forget about it. You don't have to worry about it creasing or looking patchy. It's waterproof, it's fade proof, it's crease resistant. And again, this comes in a variety of shades and very easily accessible on places like Amazon. And I will just insert some daylight swatches of these eyeshadows for you now. So lots to choose from there, lots of different options, but I would wholeheartedly recommend any of those formulas and tell you that they will last all day with no issue. They are very, very flattering, especially on mature eyelids. They will not fade away, they will not budge, they won't sweat off your face, and many of them are super versatile. And above all, these eyeshadows are going to save you so much time. So do let me know down in the comments, what are your number one and done eyeshadows? Let us know all of your recommendations down in the comments. If you found this video helpful, please do consider giving it a like, because that really does help me and my little channel out a lot. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. I so appreciate you being here with me. I'm really looking forward to seeing you in the next one. But until then, take care and bye for now.